Bars is back. Sam Ant. Oh God. What's up with you? Hip Hop Uncensored is the vibe, so subscribe. Hip Hop Uncensored is the vibe, so subscribe. Oh God, driving Sam Ant riding passenger side, and you heard it out the mouth of the greatest
most memorable guest on Drink Champs that you can remember.
No, if it's memorable, I gotta remember. I mean, one of my most memorable, and I kind of say this often, has always been 50 Cent. So, you know, I didn't know what to expect from 50. I had met him a couple times, as you know, just in the DJ and artist world, but I didn't really like know him. Mm-hmm. So I didn't know, you know, what to expect. I thought he might come, you know, and just kind of like not really feel the vibe of it. But he's such a smart dude. He came to promote an alcohol he was putting out. He doesn't really drink, but he drank because he had to drink his product to promote it. And he had fun with the show. Like, he knew what it was before he got there. Right. He came by himself originally. Like, some other homies showed up later, but he came by himself, was you know, just had fun, man. He really had a lot of fun with the show, and it was real memorable, man, that he came and he understood what it was all about and had fun with it.
So I got two more for you. One, you guys just had Big U on there, and you can remember that. It was a great interview, by the way, when he talked about Nipsey. Over the last, you know, couple of years, people have been accusing him of probably setting up Nipsey. So how did you feel with his response about the whole Nipsey controversy?
I mean, honestly, man, me personally, I don't like any of that stuff on Drink Champs, man. I don't, you know, those type of controversial things. And I try to, you know, of course, it's going to come into Drink Champs and the streets intertwine with the industry. I mean, his response on the show sounded genuine to me. You know, it sounded genuine, but I'm not in, you know, I wasn't there. I don't have the details. I can't speak for the situation, nor do I want to speak about that situation. Someone, you know, that was crucial to the culture passed away. And that's what we should be focused on, that we lost someone like Nipsey. And, you know, we should, hopefully that it's not true, you know, and I want to believe Big U because he sounded hella, you know, honest about it on the show.
Now, did you ever get a chance to go back to Cuba? I heard you talking about, you know, your parents being from Cuba, and most of the people that are Cuban Americans, their parents teach them not to, you know, have any type of relationships. Did you ever get a chance to reconnect with your country of Cuba?
Oh yeah, I did. I actually filmed a documentary in Cuba called Coming Home that launched this whole documentary series, which I'm on my 6th film now, which is about to come out. Well, I'm finishing it. That I went to South Africa. It's the 6th film. And yeah, man, I went in 2012. We went to Cuba, me and my boys, and we connected with the hip hop heads out there, and you know, and just experienced Cuba for the first time with that whole baggage of, like you said, like for my generation of first generation Cubans and parents that came, you know, after the revolution and all that, they were like, nah, you don't go to Cuba. They put the fear in you at Cuba first to go because of the communism. And then the next part is like, you don't go there and put money into that regime's hands, like as a tourist. So, but as I got older, I was like, you know, I want to see Cuba for myself before it changes, because eventually it's going to open up.
Right.
And I want to see it before there's a Taco Bell and McDonald's on every corner. And I want to see, you know, something that resembled what my parents, you know, saw when they were there. So I made the move, and I'm glad I did. And I ended up taking my mom after that trip, convinced her to go back and go back to her childhood neighborhood after 50 years of her not being there.
Wow.
Awesome. You know, and it was so emotional for her. She had a like a nervous breakdown over there and shit. It was so crazy for her. But yeah, man, that was impactful. And the hip hop scene out there is so dope. And I mean, everywhere we've gone after that, I've gone to different countries, exploring the country through hip hop, through their hip hop scene. And every country I go to has just been amazing, man.
Yeah, I was doing some research on your documentary and watching as you were going through country to country and looking at the hip hop scene, almost kind of like an Anthony Bourdain, God rest his soul, with food. And you were saying that unfortunately a lot of the perspective on America and American artists isn't that good. Can you talk to the audience about that and why that was?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a common thread, and this is not us leading any conversation. Like, a lot of the artists are telling us, like, y'all don't do hip hop anymore. And again, this is not me trying to like say, hey, you know, what do you think? Or this, that. They telling us like, yo, y'all got a industry, y'all about money. the art isn't there. The culture from what they perceived as the culture isn't there. They don't think it's here anymore. It doesn't live here anymore, or that we don't practice it anymore as a pure culture. So they just see it as like, oh, y'all just doing it for the money, and that's it. And that's been like I've heard that in every country I've gone. Someone in that country, some artist at some point has told me that.
Well, you know, you have this debate in America where it's like, okay, no, this is the new age of hip hop. This is their sound. We've always had an evolution in sound when it comes to hip hop. Let them do their thing. Don't hate older generation. But then you're going country to country and they're saying this. So I don't want to put a blame on, but who's to blame in that? They're saying that there's no more authenticity. Was it earlier on? Was it in our generation in the 90s and 2000s, or did it come just recently?
Well, that's what my opinion is. I feel like my generation, being like the 90s era, we're the ones that dropped the ball. We stopped kind of like passing down the knowledge. And people, you know, we have this argument on Drink Champs all the time because Nori will say, well, you know, the older generation didn't respect me and my peers either. But there's a difference between maybe the older generation not respecting you versus you not respecting them. You know what I'm saying? Like, and knowing who came before you. And I feel like the artists that I was coming up, you know, when I was a teenager, they was always teaching us about Grandmaster Flash or Cool Herc, and they were letting us know these are the guys, these are the. I didn't grow up on you know, Melly Mel and Grandmaster Flash. That's a little bit before me, but I grew up understanding that they are the pioneers, the architects of this, and whether they like me or not is irrelevant. I gotta respect that, and that's what I think we stopped doing in hip hop, because I think that mid to late 90s, early 2000s is when a lot of money was in the music side of hip hop. And, you know, people going platinum and the clubs and popping bottles and being flashy. And I just think that the artists that would fall on them to kind of relay those messages of passing down the knowledge. They're just like, yo, man, we want to live like this forever. Like, we're going to be here forever. So I just think that it just, you know, it didn't happen. And I think there's repercussions to that we're seeing today.
All right.
Now, you did some producing as well, right? Did you produce Nori and Capone's project?
I mean, executive produced it. You know, okay. I say when I'm not necessarily. I mean, I produce some beats here and there, but I'm more like a Puff Daddy producer. Like, you know, I go in the studio and I got my peoples, and I'm like, I like that, and I want to hear this, and I like that. You know?
Now talk about the transition from mixtapes into now, because at one point mixtapes was heavy, and we thought that they would never kind of go away, but then the industry kind of changed to what it is now with the streaming and everything.
Oh man, the mixtape game that I come from doesn't exist anymore. First of all, I come from the real cassette tape era, and the reason why I say that's the genuine mixtape era is because when a DJ, you know, when someone got a mixtape from a DJ, they bought into that DJ. They couldn't just skip songs to hear the songs they want to hear. They had to be into the way that DJ mixed the records, blended them, you know, his vibe. If he talked on the tapes, they had to really like it, because you can't go through those tapes so quickly like a CD. Then the CD era came, and that kind of changed it. And then the artist kind of took over the mixtape game by making, you know, street albums, calling them mixtapes. And that became, and to this day, that's like the face of a mixtape, is artists doing, you know, these street albums. So that mixtape game to me doesn't exist anymore. No matter what anybody tells me, that just doesn't exist.